Okay, so following up from the leak down test, number 4 was not holding compression, and after that test revealed that it was actually coming out of the exhaust valve, and I never did have any problem with the coolant and the oil mixing together, so I knew it was something to do with one of the valves, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. I went ahead and also used this wedge to secure the right bank just to keep things from turning. I was so paranoid, pulling the cams out and leaving this chain suspended. Just a tip here on the PCV valve in the back, the first go round was really a nightmare. Turns out really all you got to do is just loosen this coolant line. This will press down. Then you can come in with just a 1/4 inch, and I believe that's a T25, and you can get to that bottom Torx underneath the PCV valve to get that off. It ends up being enough room to get it out of there. And remember, this valve cover, you have to go back, and I have to push on this tranny fill. I have to push on that tranny fill a little bit to pull the valve cover out. All right, so on to this. This was pretty much standard procedure, again, following Motor City's, how they did it, not how they're recommending to do it, but just watching what they did, and I'm kind of following that process. Some really great videos. There are a couple things here I'm going to point out that were a surprise to me, and it being that this is, my first rodeo. So to begin with, the teardown was pretty straightforward. With the head bolts, I used a 24-inch cheater bar, 1/2 inch drive with 15 millimeter. So when you're breaking those head bolts loose, they do make a pop. And I've heard that pop before, and it's not a good sound. So it turns out I didn't have any problem, and the cheater bar worked out just fine. I pulled all the head bolts out, so all good there. Also, in order to loosen this chain guide tensioner, I used, this worked for me. This is a T30, and that was just enough space to get in there and break this loose. And then I also pulled it back just out of, just concern, pull it back and held it back with this nut. It's not going to fall down. It can't come, it won't fall back, but on mine, what I did was I went ahead and added that in for security. And then also just used the bungee cord. This is not pulling any tension on this. This is really literally just holding this up, so I'm not bending my chain back. Okay, so first step to get the, what I ended up doing is I went underneath the vehicle, and I've got a Viva car lift. They're really great if you don't have one, especially doing transmission on a car that sits lower to the ground. But what I ended up doing, I went underneath, loosened up the exhaust, and then came up and had my compressor loose just a little bit. There's 4 bolts. The third one underneath here is more of a nut and a stud. So loosen those all out, pulled it back, and at this point now then, and then of course disconnected these two on the very back. Don't forget those. Those are going to be on the back of the head. There's a bracket there for those to pop in. These lines here, these two here. So now then, the head's completely free, ready to be removed, and here's where my issues began. First of all, I could not get that head to break free, and I suppose it's because of the 3-bond that they had here. I don't know. I wiggled it back and forth and tried to do that. Could not get any leverage. Also, this is a 2011 Jeep, and you're hyperextended over top of this. So at best, I'm right here at number 2, and just don't have a lot of leverage, and didn't know what to do to go ahead and get this thing to pop free. So what I did, and I am not recommending this, this is just what I did. I don't think I'd ever do it again. I might, if I were doing this again, I probably would just maybe remove the, I might remove the valve chain, the timing chain covers. But anyway, what I did was, remember the head and the exhaust manifold are built in. So what I did was underneath, I came in and I took a 2x2 and had just enough space in there to reach on the other side, right I believe in here it was, and was able to use a jack, very, very lightly, wasn't jacking the car up, just very, very lightly putting pressure underneath the exhaust manifold here. That popped it loose. But remember, the reason why I'm hesitating here and doing this, remember this valve, this timing chain guide, this is sitting over top of that. So as you're raising that head up, there is a potential that I could have broken this. But at this point, I was ready to pull the timing chain cover off because I was just stuck. All right. So that worked. It popped up and tilted the head a little bit this way and did not damage this timing chain cover to my visual inspection. I can't see any damage to it. So that got the head pop free. Now the next thing was, remember, in order for this head to come out, you kind of have to go back and to the left. Well, the compressor's in the way. So I really ended up having to take all 4 bolts and suspending the compressor here was push this back far enough so that the head could even turn. Well, the next thing I ran into was I still could not get, and probably because of the other the hose and other stuff back there, I could not get it to get back far enough to turn and move around because the head actually kind of wraps around this oil filter cooler. So what I ended up doing was, after a while, I just loosened this up and slid it off to the side, and head came straight out, no problem. So that would be my tip. Just plan for just this compressor, and just go ahead and remove this. Save yourself the heartache. It'll just come right out. Remember, now I had drained my coolant, so I didn't have any coolant out this time, but be prepared. There will be some oil in here. So have a rag, be ready to go to catch that oil. Also, underneath the, right about at the marriage line, at the bottom of the bell housing for the tranny and the engine, there will be some coolant that'll come out. So just have a bucket under there if you want. It's not a lot if you drained your antifreeze, but there will be some of that come out of there. Other than that, it really was a lot of fun getting it out of there. Looking at now these marks are when I was doing my leak down test. I had a little rod in there, so don't pay attention to that. But in terms of the gasket, I don't see anything wrong with the gasket, and I'll show you the head here in just a moment. It's one of the exhaust valves is burned out, and I'll show that here in just a moment. But the other concern I had was on this tensioner here. I was so paranoid about that, but turns out, and I'll show that here in a moment, the way that tensioner works, it's spring loaded up against the back of this guide. It did not come, there was a catch on it, there's a ratcheting mechanism or whatever, and it did not allow it to come out, but that was a concern that then everything would be falling down into the engine and be just a whole nother issue. So that did not happen. So like I said, everything ended up turning out pretty good. And go over to the engine, I'll show you the exhaust valve. All right, to get started here, this is what I was talking about. This is that the cam chain tensioner. It's got a little ratcheting mechanism here. It's got a little ratcheting mechanism here that holds this plunger. But if this did not catch this is spring loaded, and this guy would have just popped out, and all this, the spring, and it would have been a bad day. So that did not happen. Everything went well there. So that did not come out. But it seems to me there is a little notch when you go to put this back in to compress this, and then you can put a pin in this hole to hold this, catching in that notch to hold this down. Seems to me there should be a tool to insert here, and as this is being pushed back, using the, that tool that pushes this back to be able to catch that, just as a precaution to keep it from coming out. But it didn't come out, so I didn't have any problems there. All right, so here is the problem. If you look, going across the top there, you've got intakes. They look good. Going across the bottom, and uh-oh, there's number 4. And that is not the way the valve's supposed to look. That is a burned valve, and I will have to pull that out. And I don't know if the seats, I'll have to pull this out to investigate further, to take next action, to pull it out and inspect more. But that's the culprit. That's what was wrong. So now I need to go fix that bad boy and get it out, and I'll follow up when I've got that done. All right, so I went ahead and cleaned up the head here a little bit. This is number 4, have a misfire. This valve here looks burned to me. The other exhaust valves seem like they're okay. Pulling out the valve, I'm not seeing anything there that looks terrible. And on the other one, I'm not seeing anything there that looks like some of these I've seen on the internet. The seat itself, it's going to be kind of hard. I don't think I'm getting very good lighting. The only thing I see is maybe right there. That looks maybe suspicious to me. But I went ahead and also, while I was cleaning it up, I put in WD-40 in here. Of course, 2 and 6 held, but 4 leaked out. It's this one that's leaking, from what I can tell. When I go underneath, I put a piece of tissue paper underneath each valve stem, and it was this one that was leaking. So I'll have to, I'm not sure. I don't see anything obvious, so but that's where I'm at. And if anybody's got any comments, put them in there. I'd love to hear it.